George Floyd was 46 when he was killed by a Minneapolis police officer on May 25th, after officers knelt on his neck and body for nearly 9 minutes, while Floyd said, "I can't breathe," and called for his mother. All 4 officers have been fired and are awaiting trial for murder. Breonna Taylor was 26 when she was fatally shot in her home on March 13th by a Louisville police officer after entering the home on a no-knock warrant. The officers have been placed on leave during an investigation. Botham Jean was 26 when he was fatally shot in his apartment by an off-duty Dallas, Texas officer in 2018, after the officer entered the wrong apartment. The officer was found guilty of murder. Ahmaud Arbery was 25 when he died. While jogging, he was chased by whites in South Georgia neighborhood. 3 suspects have been indicted on murder charges. Elijah McClain was 23 when he died after a Colorado police restrained him with a chokehold. McClain was simply walking home from a convenience store when someone called 911, saying he looked sketchy and was wearing a ski mask. Officers were placed on administrative leave, but they have all since been reinstated. No charges have been filed. Carlos Ingram Lopez was 27 when he died after 3 police officers held him face down on the ground and covered him in plastic blankets, pinning him down for about 12 minutes while he yells, "I can't breathe," and calls out for his grandmother. 3 officers resigned and murder is under investigation. Sandra Blonde was 28 when she was arrested during a traffic stop and taken to jail, where she was found dead from suicide in her cell. The Texas state trooper who arrested her was fired but never charged. Blonde's mother won a wrongful death lawsuit. Freddie Gray, who was 25, died in 2015, a week after suffering a severe spinal injury and following a rough ride in a police van. 6 Baltimore Police Department officers were suspended and charged, but none were convicted. Rayshard Brooks was 27 when he was shot in the back by Atlanta police while running away after 40-minute friendly discourse. 1 officer charged with felony murder, another with aggravated assault. Trayvon Martin was 17 in 2012 when he was fatally shot in Florida while returning from buying an iced tea, when a neighborhood watchman followed him and a scuffle ensued. Following nationwide protest, shooter was indicted for second-degree murder. At trial, he was acquitted of all charges. Michael Brown was 18 when he was shot multiple times by a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014 after being stopped for jaywalking. The officer was not indicted. Philando Castile was 32 when he was fatally shot during a routine traffic stop in 2016 by a Minnesota police officer. The officer shot into the car 7 times, while Castile's girlfriend and her 4-year-old daughter were inside the car with him. The officer was acquitted of all charges. Yvette Smith was 47 when she was fatally shot by a Texas sheriff deputy county in 2014 as she stood in the doorway of a neighbor's house. The officer who killed her was charged with murder and acquitted. David McAdie was a 53-year-old Louisville BBQ store owner and was shot and killed by Kentucky National Guard officers during protests in Louisville, June 1st, over the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Police officers at the scene had deactivated their body cameras. The police chief was fired. Case is under investigation. Eric Garner was 43 when he was killed in 2014 after a New York City police officer placed him in a chokehold, following arrest for illegally selling cigarettes. The officer was fired from the department in 2019. No charges were filed. Walter Scott was 50 when he was shot in the back and killed by a North Charleston police officer in 2015 after being stopped for a non-functioning brake light. In 2017, the officer was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old, was shot and killed in 2014 by a Cleveland police officer within 3 seconds of arriving at the scene. He had been holding a toy gun. A grand jury decided not to indict, and the officer was later fired for lying on his application. Tony McDade was a 38-year-old black trans masculine person and was fatally shot by Tallahassee police on May 27th. The officer has been placed on leave pending the outcome of an investigation.